So the hearings panel want to recommend the proposed naming policy for your approval. We had a hearing on 6th of October, which I chaired, joined by my fellow panel members, Councillors Mark Peters and Aaron Keong. Among the submitters, representatives on behalf of 3 community boards, 2 residents' association and the DPA, the Disabled Persons Assembly, presented their submissions. The policy replaces 2 very old 1993 policies. One, the Roads and Rights of Way naming policy, and the second, the Naming of Reserves and Facilities policy. For several years, community boards which hold the delegations for naming roads, parks and facilities have asked for better guidance for their decisions on naming places and have supported the review of the current policies. Staff have also asked for clearer direction on naming, as have members of the developer community. Staff reviewed the old policies and prepared a replacement policy for naming roads, open spaces, parks and reserves and facilities. The policy supports the current council practices in naming and, 1, set out the criteria for choosing names. These emphasise the importance of names with a meaningful and enduring connection to a place, which reflect local identity, local environments and social or cultural heritage. 2, identifies the types of names which are not consistent with the policy's criteria, so should not be approved, which provides clarity. 3, takes on board the guidance from Mana Whenua in respect of Maori names, and important to note that they felt that it didn't need to be involved in every street or every naming situation. 4, provides for gifted names to be accepted without additional consultation. 5, allows dual names, Maori and English, for park and facilities, but leaves it to the decision maker, which is normally the community board, to decide when a dual name is adopted. And 6, outlines when proposals to rename or alter names may be appropriate, and this doesn't occur very often. The Council agreed to consult on the draft policy in July, and consultation ran from the 7th of August to the 27th. We received 34 submissions, and as I mentioned, including 4 from community boards, residents' associations, and the DPA, Disabled Persons Assembly, and Te Mana Ora. All these organisations fully supported the policy, whilst submissions in support of the proposed policy referred to the content of the policy. The opposing submitters did not actually comment on the content of the policy. There were 9 individual submitters opposed to the policy. They were concerned about any changes to current policies and/or they were concerned about name changes and the use of Māori names. But it's clear the community boards have been concerned about the lack of good guidance on naming for some time, and these policies needed an update. Community boards have also been asking for support in use of Māori names, and the replacement policy provides this. The new policy is also not intended to lead to a lot of renaming. Names are intended to be permanent, and they will only be changed rarely in the limited circumstances now spelt out by the replacement policy. We considered the written and oral submissions and have taken advice from staff, including additional advice from staff about how the policy applies to metropolitan facilities which may have commercial sponsorship deals. We, the panel members, are recommending to you, the Council, that we adopt the draft policy as proposed with no changes. I'd like to thank my fellow panel members and acknowledge the mahi of staff, particularly Ruth Littlewood and Andrew Campbell, who were excellent with their advice. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Barber. Question, Councillor Donovan.
Thank you, Councillor Barber. I just have a question about 6.6.3 in terms of the wording. Can I just get maybe some feedback from the panel or staff as to why it was changed from required to encouraged?
You need to wait for the next item.
Okay.
We're the one before that.
Sorry. Forewarned.
That's outdoor dining.
Don't be in such a hurry.
Good work.
Councillor Templeton.
Thanks. Great to hear that you got the additional advice on the ones with commercial sponsorship and stuff. How does that then fit in where we've got a metropolitan facility that has a name, and how does it apply? So if no changes were made, how does it apply? It wasn't clear in the policy to start with how it applies. So, for example, if VBase wanted, who will have
Venues Otautahi.
operating, sorry, it is too. Back then, if Venues Otautahi wanted to change the name of Te Kaha because of commercial sponsorship and give it an additional name that would become part of the name, how does that fit in with our policy of council-owned facilities names not being changed?
Could I just
Yeah, it's
answer
probably-
that one? That will be spelt out on the letter of expectation. I think that's coming through to you for Venues Otautahi.
Okay, but so it's not dealt with in the policy. Okay, because the policy had sort of contradictory stuff in it. Yeah.
Ruth, would you care to comment?
The names, Te Kaha may be the permanent name, but venues do have as well sponsorship names, which might be considered temporary names or additional names.
Okay.
Whether a name, a sponsorship name is appropriate, may depend, would in Te Kaha's case, would depend on the letter of expectation between the council and, for example, in this case, Venues Otautahi.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And so it does concern me, but that we're not really explicit over that at this point. But I'm looking forward to doing the letter of expectations and know that we'll address that then. Thanks.
Talk about the quantum.
Okay, is that, I think this is the last one. Yep. Very good. So we'll debate. Oh, Councillor, you happy to move? Sorry, move it. Oh, second it. Oh.
Yeah, I'll move it.
Any debate, chaps? Yep. Right, I'll put that motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Thank you. Carried. So while you're in the hot seat, Councillor Barber.